San Francisco is set to face off against the Minnesota Vikings today, and the biggest story, or one of the biggest stories, has to be the injury to Christian McCaffrey. He injured his oblique in the previous game against the Cleveland Browns, so many people have speculated, is it worth running your workhorse into the ground further and possibly re-risk aggravating an injury? And well, there's already been a report today saying Christian McCaffrey is expected to play. But in this video, I want to point out that the Niners can sure play Christian McCaffrey, but also rotate in Jordan Mason, or JP Mason as he goes by. Mason's skill set also pairs nicely with Christian McCaffrey, even if McCaffrey does decide to play. I think that Mason is much more like a power back, so he could take some of those goal line carries, some powers, things like that, where risk of injury is usually heightened, especially for a guy that's already injured like Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey's oblique's injured, so possibly you could get him out there on some choice routes or even some sweeps, but I don't necessarily want to see Christian McCaffrey punching up the middle 20 times this game. My concern even becomes further heightened when you're looking at the surface of the Minnesota Vikings stadium. It's a slip film synthetic surface, and this surface is absolute garbage. Nick Bosa a couple years back got injured on the same surface, so with a pre-existing injury to McCaffrey and having probably the worst surface in the entire NFL, I would be hesitant to put McCaffrey in for his regular workload. And after asking you guys yesterday what you thought, many people pointed out they would prefer to see Jordan Mason play. So let's go ahead and dive in to Jordan Mason's film a little bit more deeply. When you examine these next plays, we see Mason's elusiveness as well as that really bully mentality of running people over come out. You see him hit the hole hard, break a tackle, and then punish this whole entire group. And the next play was not that much different. Moving now into Jordan Mason's splash play, his second touchdown of the year. This came off that interception. He was set up pretty perfectly, but I love to see him outside the tackle box and show off some of his speed. And when you watch this film back from the end zone view, what's maybe more impressive than his speed is his ball carrier vision, which is something we'll continue to touch on this video. But Mason sees the right hole continually and exploits it for maximum gain. To further exemplify this point, take this play with Jordan Mason. He takes it off from Brock Purdy and is able to get another great gain. And this is because of his vision and elusiveness. Once again, people always talk about how hard Jordan Mason hits. And well, he does do that. He's also just great vision and great elusiveness when the ball touches his hands. I know many people don't really know who Jordan Mason is, but I think he's like starting running back caliber. A big reason for my belief in Mason actually being a starting caliber running back is the situations he's often finding himself in, and that's obvious running situations to close out the game. He's even, I believe, been nicknamed the closer. So when we watch these plays, we can see Mason once again exploiting the defense for maximum gain. But on the second play with Parsons, you can see him diagnosing the play pre-read and even gets into the backfield. But Mason's vision and elusiveness turns a possible negative play into a positive. And I love this out of running backs, when you can hand it off and it seems like, oh no, the play's dead in the rights, but somehow they end up turning a couple yards. That's much like CMC2, they kind of just do it in different ways, even though Mason did show off some elusiveness here. So now that I've touched on maybe some underappreciated aspects to Mason's game, such as his ball carrier vision, his elusiveness, and even kind of his acceleration, I want to talk about his bread and butter, and that's hitting people and hitting them hard up the middle. Mason is someone I think you can put in goal line situations and just hand off to, and he'll fall forward almost every time for a couple of yards. This is similar to a guy like Mitchell. The difference though between Mitchell and Mason though so far has been health. Every time that Mitchell gets on the field, he does great things and is a superstar running back, but he's had concerns with his health that go throughout his entire career. Meanwhile, Mason seems to be healthy, and the best ability, as they say, is availability. But according to reports, Christian McCaffrey will be available during this game. So now it's up to Kyle Shanahan how much he actually wants to utilize Christian McCaffrey in comparison to a guy like Mason, who's averaging over 5 yards a carry this year. Additionally, I want to see how Kyle Shanahan plans to replace Deebo Samuel. Samuel is expected to be out at least 2 weeks with a hairline fracture, so will he only go to veterans like Ray-Ray McCloud and Juwan Jennings, or possibly rotate in Ronnie Bell? But soon, all those questions and more will be answered. So now to the time where I give my score prediction. Given all the circumstances, I'm going to say the Niners win 28-14. And with my score prediction out of the way, I want to hear your score predictions down below and anything that you're interested in seeing in this game particularly. I'd also like to give a quick shout out to William Handy or Omnion12 for his continued support, being a member of my channel and all that. It truly means a ton.